Hundreds of passengers were stranded for hours on 5 Eurostar high-speed trains after reports that migrants were blocking the tracks leading to the tunnel under the English Channel and were attempting to climb aboard. According to the Eurostar Twitter feed, 3 of the trains then went on to London early on the 2nd of September, while 2 others returned to their original departure stations in London and Paris. Eurostar had announced on Twitter on the 1st of September that it was holding its trains whilst authorities deal with trespassers, and then said the trespassers had been spotted on the tracks at the station in Calais. The train stayed in place as the trespassers were removed.
So we waited at the entrance of the tunnel because they told us there were people in the tunnel. And we waited for, I think, 2.5 hours or maybe 3 hours. And in the end, without giving us any information, they said we would go back. So probably the people got stuck and they didn't manage to get them out. So we had to wait and they decided to get back to London.
So they told us there were some people in the tunnel. They didn't tell us exactly what the situation was about. I'm guessing it had to do with, the migrants that were trying to get through and cross onto the other side, and they told us that the police was there, but that's basically it.
Passengers on one of the London-bound trains, which stopped less than a mile from the tunnel, were told at one point to be very quiet and listen for the sound of people climbing on the roof. A helicopter with a searchlight then circled the train as guards walked the tracks looking for migrants, but seemingly none were spotted. With the power out, passengers on that train sat in the dark for nearly 4 hours. The heat and mugginess in the cars rose as conductors walked the aisles with wind-up torches. A woman in business class wept, and many passengers said they could not breathe in the stifling air. For many of those passengers who expected to be waking up in Paris on Wednesday morning, they find themselves stranded in London with nowhere to stay.
So there's a whole crowd of people out there with nowhere to stay tonight who are expecting to be in Paris this evening, and they're saying they haven't got hotels for them, so that's an issue. Luckily I live here, so it's not such a problem, but one of those things, I think.
However, there were others who were left in London with nowhere to stay, who are angry with Eurostar's handling of the crisis.
This is totally unacceptable. So we've been actually waiting 3.5 hours in front of the tunnel because some migrants were supposed to cross the tunnel. The French police was sent there for about 3 hours to try to chase them, but they didn't manage for some reason. Even though I'm French and I thought they could do it in 3 hours, no, they couldn't. So the train could not go through. So after 3.5 hours, they told us we can't go further. We come take you back to London, and we wish you a very good night. That's all they said.
Eurostar has offered to exchange tickets to passengers affected by the suspended service.